There is a place, so quiet and so unassuming, that for one long cold night in November 1987, became forever altered by a tragedy that the years have not softened. It was a rural corner of southern Illinois, near a tiny town called Ina, a community so small that the rhythm of daily life carried the cadence of familiarity. People knew one another by name. They knew each other's families. They greeted neighbors on the street in a manner that felt timeless, almost sacred. This was the world in which the Dardeen family lived. Russell Keith Dardeen, known simply as Keith, was 29 years old. His wife, Ruby Elaine, often called Elaine, was 30. They were expecting another child, a daughter who had not yet taken her first breath when all of this began. And at the heart of their small home, their young son Peter, just 3 years old, played and laughed like children so often do in places where life feels safe. In the weeks before that cold November would tighten around their home, the Dardeens were planning a new beginning. Keith had become uneasy. A wave of violent deaths, at least 10 unsolved murders across Jefferson and Franklin counties, had spread fear through the town and its surroundings. Whispers drifted in church basements, at dinner tables, in the grocery store aisles. People who once left doors unlocked now checked them at night. Conversations once carefree became quiet, watchful. Keith and Elaine had talked of escaping that atmosphere, of moving back to Mount Carmel, where friends and family lived. They had dreams of a fresh start, of security for Peter and the child still in Elaine's womb. They spoke of it softly, of it as a promise, as if by saying the words aloud, they could will it into being. Then, like a wind that bends trees before a storm, silence struck. On the morning of November 18, 1987, Keith did not show up for his shift at the water treatment plant. For someone as dependable as he, this was deeply out of character. No call, no message, just absence. His supervisor, concerned more by instinct than alarm, tried again. No answer. So the calls began, first to the Dardeens' home, then to Keith's parents. Still, no one heard from him. As dusk bled into night, the sense of unease deepened. Finally, with worry etched on every face, Keith's father drove to the mobile home he had helped his son set up a year earlier, a modest place nestled between Illinois Route 37 and the old railroad tracks. With the help of a county sheriff and a spare key, he stepped inside. And then the world changed. What they saw in that home was not merely the aftermath of violence. It was the absence of hope. There, in the heart of that quiet dwelling, lay Elaine, Peter, and their newborn daughter. The baby girl who had been born not long before, born into awe and tenderness, and already cradled by fate itself. Elaine had been beaten so severely that the trauma had brought on labor. And there, in that same bed, wrapped in blankets that should have been soft with love, all three were dead. Elaine's hands were bound with duct tape. The very tape that should have held up posters in a child's room now bound the final moments of a woman who had been struck with brutality. Peter was lifeless, and the newborn, a tender life never meant to see dawn, was gone. But outside, beyond that bed and that room, another silence loomed. Keith was not there. At first, investigators considered that perhaps somehow he had fled, mistaken for a suspect in a horror they could scarcely imagine. Police searched for him, house by house, field by field. Then, beneath an overcast sky and amidst the whispering blades of winter crops, a body was found in a nearby field, not far from the mobile home. It was Keith, shot multiple times. His body bore a wound both symbolic and cruel, a mutilation that spoke of rage and pain too deep to be explained by anything so simple as robbery or theft. His red 1981 Plymouth was found abandoned, its doors closed, its interior splattered with blood, parked near the police station in Benton, a place of order whose doors did not open in time for this family. Forensic investigators pieced together the timeline with cold precision. Within an hour of one another, the family in their home, Keith alone in the fields, all 4 lives were extinguished. Behind that stark fact lay something darker. No known motive, no clear suspect, no confession that could withstand scrutiny. Nothing to explain why this gentle young family, well-liked, quiet, unassuming, would be wiped away in one murderous stroke. In the weeks that followed, rumors spread like smoke over still water. Some whispered of Satanists lurking in the dark woods, of secret rites in moonlit fields. Others pointed to drugs, gambling, secret debts. Investigators weighed each possibility and set most aside, finding no evidence of forced entry, no signs of robbery, no indication that sexual violence had preceded the killings. Valuable items, a portable camera, a VCR, jewelry, and cash, lay untouched in plain sight. The scene inside the home had a strange, unsettling quiet. Detectives noted that someone had taken the time not only to commit violence, but to tuck the bodies of Elaine, Peter, and the infant into the same bed. This was not the work of someone rushed or careless. There was an eerie deliberateness to it, as if the final act itself was meant to be a testament. Yet, for all the deliberation the killer may have shown, no clear path led investigators to the answer. No fingerprints, no motive that fit the facts, no witness who could place a stranger in Ina that night. The investigation, once hopeful, soon sputtered and dimmed. The case grew cold. Years passed. Memories faded. But the questions did not. Then, in the early 2000s, a new voice emerged. Something that promised perhaps a resolution, or at least an explanation. From death row in Texas came a claim. Serial killer Tommy Lynn Sells said he was responsible for the murder of the Dardeen family. But his confession carried the weight of uncertainty. Sells was known to have offered false confessions for crimes he most likely did not commit. Law enforcement struggled to know how much truth was beneath his words. He offered inconsistent motives, shifting narratives about where he met Keith, what had been said, even why he had acted. He said he knew details of the Dardeen home. He said he had met Keith at a truck stop. Later he said a pool hall. He spoke of dinner invitations he likely never received. Police pressed him for details that had never been made public. At times he stumbled. At times he seemed to guess correctly. But a confession without corroboration is like a half-remembered dream, full of texture, but unreliable, impossible to use as truth. Authorities wanted Sells to come to southern Illinois to walk through the scene, but laws forbade it. He remained in Texas, where he was later executed for a separate murder in 2014. And so the thread he offered could not be tested, could not be pulled taut to reveal its origin. And so the Dardeen case remains unsolved, a phantom echo in the archives of American crime, a tragedy that still stirs sorrow in the hearts of those who remember. The small town that once knew the Dardeens by name continues on, its fields shifting with the seasons, its nights chilly as they were that November night. But the questions remain, like whispers in the wind. How did it happen? Who crossed that threshold and brought darkness into a home filled with life and laughter? Why were they chosen? And perhaps most hauntingly of all, why were they taken? No answer has yet dispelled that chill. In the quiet of INA's autumn fields, beneath skies that tremble with stars, the mystery persists. A story without closure and a family never forgotten.